Midnight WoW is likely going to change everything we know about retail WoW, right? If you haven't been following retail WoW for a long time, understandable, there's a lot of classic players. The game's changing a lot. They're working towards a future that is probably something you're not expecting. Now, if you're a classic player, you quit World of Warcraft a long time ago, what exactly is happening in Midnight WoW? And there's a few things, right? There's the obvious things of what the new content is, but there's also the back-end things of what they're changing about World of Warcraft. So to start off with, right, let's talk about gameplay. That's something a lot of people really truly care about. World of Warcraft has become bloated and bloated and bloated. It's become more and more complicated, more and more frustrating, and more unplayable for a new player or a returning player. No matter the tweaks they do or the changes they do, you come back and you look at your skill set, your utility, all the patch notes and changes since you last played, depending on how many expansions ago you quit, and your class feels alien to you. Well, right off the bat, they added the one button rotation. Now, what is the one button rotation? It effectively plays better than 80% of the player base. They actually tested this with a bunch of people, and the one button rotation, despite having a GCD delay of almost 17%, played better than the average player by a 30 to 50% margin. And the reason for that is a guaranteed 17% delay on your abilities, right, is still better than human error. One button misclick every 5 buttons is a 20% error ratio. So yeah, you have the one button rotation. It's doing really good. That's cool, right? I know a lot of people hate that. They're like, oh my god, one button. How could they? They're simplifying the game instead of fixing it. Yes, it is a stopgap measure. They've even said that. The one button rotation wasn't ever meant to be a permanent fix. It's typically meant for people with disabilities. It just turns out that every WoW player is disabled and we can't play the game. But okay, so you got the one button rotation. Cool beans. They're also trying to simplify the game. They've even said as much that the game has become convoluted. They keep trying to chase the highest echelons of gameplay, and the average player can't keep up with that. It's not fun. The Mythic seasons aren't fun, right? The Mythic Plus seasons have gotten progressively... I mean, there's the occasional good season, but a lot of people fucking hate Mythic Plus right now. It's not amazing, it's not good, and it does go through its ups and downs, but the game just keeps getting more and more convoluted because more and more abilities, more and more effects, so they have to make the game harder and harder to make the game mode more and more challenging, which means the better players get better, the worse players get worse, and it becomes this shitty system of cat and mouse where the cat keeps falling further and further behind from the mouse that it's chasing. But okay, let's leave the gameplay alone in terms of actually playing the game. Let's talk about the world itself for a second. A lot of people don't give a shit about the lore anymore. The world doesn't matter. Sure, the story might be interesting here or there, but you look at online media, social media, and you see people mostly talk about one or two moments. And those are the moments that most make WoW look bad. For example, you have Khadgar in a wheelchair, right? Nobody really cared about the War Within storyline. All they saw was, haha, funny super mage in funny wheelchair, game woke, game bad. And that's just, you know, how modern media is, right? They're gonna focus on the one thing that they can push their agenda or their views or their values. But the rest of the War Within story is actually half decent. It's not a perfect expansion, it's not like amazing, it's not top tier, but it's not Shadowlands or BFA. It's actually a decent experience, a decent story. The Arathi Empire, the light and the dark, the void, the arc that it's going. Xal'atath might actually be an anti-villain instead of an actual villain, or an anti-hero, I guess. And she's got plans and agendas and Azeroth and the whole storyline part of, and plus this being the first part about a trilogy makes the War Within an actually really exciting beginning to the change that's coming to World of Warcraft. Midnight WoW is having a bunch of new zones and changes happening to Northern Lordaeron, right? You know, Quel'Thalas, you know, Zulaman, you have, you know, Silvermoon City, you have the Ghostlands, Quel'Danas, you have the Plague Lands and a bunch of other Northern Lordaeron areas. And the reasoning for that is, we're not sure if those are going to be all the zones done, or if there's going to be one or two zones, they just do the Blood Elf zones, and then they're going to go do a different like continent, the other side of the world, because, you know, we're running out of places to drop islands we've never noticed before. We know there's a lot of plans in regards to the light and the dark, and we know that the Sunwell is going to be the final battle, the final location, the final battle of light versus dark, light versus the void in Midnight WoW. And so that's going to be the Sunwell. Kind of like a reflection of TBC almost, if you think about it. Which brings me to the World Soul Saga. Now, I'm not the first person to say this isn't even new information, but we know that the World Soul Saga was meant to effectively push World of Warcraft in a direction where they could revitalize and rebuild the game from the ground up. This isn't a WoW 2. This is more like a WoW 2.0. At the end of the last Titan, Chris Metzen's already talked about 14.0, 15.0, 16, 17.0, right? Those are all expansions. The last Titan is 13.0, which means they're already talking about 4 expansions after the trilogy. So the last Titan is effectively going to be the culmination of a storyline that helps, I guess, reset or soft reset Azeroth. Is this a time skip? Is this Azeroth awakening, destroying the world, and rebuilding and starting from the beginning? Nobody really knows. Like, at this point, it's pure prediction. We know we're getting a bunch of really cool features and really cool things that are coming in Midnight WoW on the last Titan, but we don't really know what that really encapsulates or what that really looks like. It's all conjecture and theory crafting, which takes me back to Midnight WoW. You've all heard of player housing coming, right? And people think that's the capstone feature of Midnight. That's not even about Midnight. Player housing is an extra side thing that has nothing to do with Midnight WoW. Midnight WoW's capstone feature hasn't even been unveiled yet. And they've said that they're going to work on the features and the content and the quality of the War Within and build upon it, not abandon it. They're trying to move away from the system where every piece of old content immediately gets abandoned, you never go back, you never do anything, you never experience it again. Now, we all know that Chris Metzen's even said it himself, that he came in late the War Within. His return was during late development cycle of the War Within. And a lot of people got fired and let go from the lore team, the art team, whatever, the story team, and it was rebuilt for a new story, a new direction, a new future. And the War Within was Chris Metzen finishing off someone else's work. Midnight WoW is the first time he is back in charge of World of Warcraft story. Now, he's not a lead writer, right? I'm gonna be real, if Chris Metzen's the lead writer, it's gonna be the most dogshit storytelling you've seen. Thrall with Green Jesus, Medan in the comics. Chris Metzen can create an amazing universe, but he is not a good lead writer. Creating the universe, creating the overarching characters, creating the overarching themes, and letting other writers make those characters and stories come to life is his strong suit. That's where he shines and excels. And that's Midnight WoW. We already know that we're doing this ecliptic battle that culminates in us pushing towards the last Titan, the soul of the world, the Azeroth, and the future of Azeroth, not just the planet, but the Titan. But now I want to talk about Playhousing. I mentioned it earlier as well. But they put this obscene amount of resources into a side gameplay system. You've seen the HOA that they've added to the game. It's pretty recent. You can build your own neighborhood with your guild and your community. Everybody can have their houses. You can have restrictions and things like that. You can put all the placements you want. You can unlock a battle pass to fill out. Like, you know, that's where we are nowadays. I got a battle pass to fill out my virtual house because, you know, I mean, a lot of people will never actually get a real house because the economy's fucking cooked. So now you can own a house in a virtual reality. Hey, that's cool. You own your World of Warcraft house in a HOA. Still, you can't get away from HOAs no matter where you go. But all this gets together to just show you the amount of energy and time they're putting towards the future of World of Warcraft. They know World of Warcraft's on a slow decline, right? And it's nothing to do with WoW. MMOs in general are on a slow decline. It's not a growing genre. It's not a growing experience. Why would people play WoW when they could play Fortnite or Roblox or Minecraft or any of these other games that are growing rapidly? Even League of Legends is not even growing anymore. That shit's dying as well. I say dying in a very loose manner. It's got like 250 million active monthly players. It's obscene. But these games aren't growing. So the only way to really grow is to do what WoW did in 2004. Revolutionize the MMO industry, the MMO genre. And sure, if they release WoW 2, it'll be 10 plus million subscribers. But they're not going to do that because a lot of people would quit and riot after losing everything they put into WoW 1. WoW 2 is like a final option. Break glass in case of emergency button. They're not doing a WoW 2 for a very, very long time. But that WoW 2.0 is coming. And Midnight WoW is setting the stage, setting the example, the balance of what WoW is going forward. We're not going to really see any major information until Gamescom later this year. But when we do get to Gamescom, they're going to unveil all the features, all the information, all the lore and the juicy tidbits about Midnight WoW. And for the first time in a very long time, we're going back to the Ghostlands, to Silvermoon, to Quel'Thalas, to Paladina's. We're going back to all these Blood Elf locations, these troll locations, to experience the world and the storytelling that has been effectively forgotten since TBC. For the first time, Silvermoon City is no longer going to be a shithole that's been ruined by Arthas 27 years ago, 28 years ago? That's how long ago it was. And we finally get to see a finished Silvermoon in all its glory. And that's just one facet of Midnight WoW. But hey, don't take my word for it. I'll see you guys at Gamescom because guess what? Midnight WoW setting the stage for the future of the MMO genre. and holy shit do we need it while we're waiting for Classic Plus and the right MMO or anything else that's coming. I need a good MMO now, and Midnight WoW's looking to be that. So thank you all for watching. If you liked this video, like and subscribe. If you hated it, understandable. Dislike and subscribe and become a dedicated hater. We don't half-ass hate on this channel, we full-ass that shit. Thank you all for watching, Urban Heart out, peace.